How's it going, everyone? Welcome to week 13 of the course. So the first thing that you want to do this week is, if you didn't have a chance to over the weekend, make sure to complete homework 6. It will be due Wednesday. I extended this by a few days because not a lot of people got this done. I think, if I remember offhand, 11 or 12 of you were able to get your exam in on time, and maybe only 3 people were able to get homework 6 on time. So to start up the week, make sure to knock that out. Then we're going to move into chapter 7. I wanted to do this last week, but I was watching the completion statistics on homework 6 in the exam, and I didn't want to overwhelm and go over content while your focus was still somewhere else. So I have the Chapter 7 lecture part 1 ready to post now. I'll post the second Chapter 7 lecture probably on Wednesday or Thursday. Make sure by Friday to have all of that wrapped up and watch. I'm going to do a lot of homework examples from Chapter 7 in these videos to kind of make the homework easy on you, and that will be due on Sunday, along with Exam 2 extra credit. And we'll talk about what that actually means here in a minute after we go over kind of some general course updates. So as I mentioned, the Chapter 6 homework is extended until Wednesday. Chapter 7 will be due this Sunday. And what we're going to do is, we're not going to allow any more late submissions on any of the homework unless it's just an extenuating circumstance. And the reason is not to try to be picky or overly challenging, but we only have about 3 weeks left in the course, so we want to make sure that everyone's on pace to be able to wrap everything up, and we don't want anyone falling behind and trying to turn in like 4 or 5 homeworks during the last week of the course. So Exam 2, as I mentioned, 11 or 12 of you got it in. If you did, that's great. If not, I'm going to email each of you directly and kind of work out a plan for turning it in late with a little bit of actual late submission penalty. And in addition, everyone, whether you turn it in on time or whether you turn it in late, will have the opportunity to make up any questions that you missed for half credit. And it's going to be really easy. It's going to seem like it's a lot of work and just busy work. And that's not the intent, even though it feels that way. It's just to make sure that you know how to solve each of the corresponding problems. So what I'm going to do is open up all of the, hopefully you'll be able to see the particular problems that you missed and try to rework them with more time on your hands and see if you can get to the solution. The majority of these we've actually covered before as examples presented in lecture for homework solutions or on the practice exam. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me and I might be able to send you a video of the solution already worked. If not, I can record a new video for you or new solutions as well. So it's not a question of whether you can get those half points back. You definitely can if you're willing to put in the work. So in terms of the remaining course schedule, we're in week 13. We're going to wrap up Chapter 7 this week, which deals with internal forces. Part 1 lecture, I go with the definition of what the internal force system looks like in terms of the normal, shear, and bending moment components. Those normal and shear are forces, along with the bending moment. We solve a couple different problems of how you can solve for the internal force system within a beam at a given point, given a loading. Also do an example of a column type loading in the first homework problem from this week. In the second part of Chapter 7, what we're really going to focus on are those shearing and bending moment diagrams, which are kind of classical problems that everyone thinks back to when they took statics and they hate, but you have to go through it. It's a rite of passage. So that Chapter 7 homework will be due this Sunday. You can probably already do the first 3 or 4 questions already. In addition, you want to turn in your Exam 2 extra credit, which is just making up any questions you missed for half of the credit. Next week, we're going to cover all of Chapter 8, and we're going to hopefully start a little bit on Chapter 9, and we will have Chapter 8 homework due in the following week. Now, next week is Thanksgiving week, so just note that unfortunately, you're going to have to do some work, even though everyone would like a week off, I know, but just keep pushing hard. We're almost to the end. The following week will be the last week of the course. We'll finish up anything that we didn't get done in Chapter 9, and we'll do a little bit of Chapter 10, and I will adjust how much of Chapter 10 we do based upon the time that we have available. So if I can only spend 20 minutes on it, give you the general overview and do one example problem and then give you a homework problem, that's all we'll do. But we do need to at least give some consideration to that chapter. And then the final exam week for us is the week of December 5th through December 10th. Since we're online asynchronous, there's no particular date that you have to take your exam. However, you are going to have it done that Sunday by midnight, no exceptions, and ideally have it done earlier because all the grades have to be due on the following week. So I actually put the 10th on there, which I believe is like a Friday. Try not to take until the weekend with your final exam, particularly if everyone's going to do it. Now, don't coordinate and email each other and say who's going to turn it in late and who's going to turn it in early. But what will happen is if everyone turns it in on Sunday night, it's hard for me to go through and try to give you a partial credit for anything you might have earned if I have to grade a bunch of them kind of at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, and then grades are due that day at noon. So do try to get it in sooner if you can. So hopefully that clears up what's going on this week, kind of what's going on with the exam. For those of you that uploaded partial or uploaded your work for exam 2 into the Dropbox. I'll try to take a look at that and post your finalized exam 2 scores by the end of the week. In addition, kind of what I'm thinking about with the homework, as I mentioned, starting on this Sunday, there'll be no more extensions on homework as we wrap up the course. So hopefully I'll be able to put like kind of a standing grade of where you're at the homework that's weighted according to what portion of the homework we've completed. Of course, that's going to be about 70% of the homework already wrapped up, since we'll be through chapter 7 of the homework after this week. That way you can start to do kind of what if analysis of your grades in Canvas rather than having to go into mastering where you got so many assignments, all the homeworks, all the practice exams, and all the exams. And remember, even though I did go back and correct your grades in mastering, the real source of ground truth for your test grades is in Canvas. They should be the same, but that's where I actually take into account the written work that you've shown me. So I want to put your homework grades in there as well, since your discussion boards are in there and you can kind of know what's going on. So have a good week, and I'll talk to you all soon.